to us today. Yeah. So I want to specially welcome our guest speaker today, Tunji Banwo. Is an industry expert, lead consultant at PROSHAP Ltd, Scrum Master at Datalium, UK, Head IT PMO at Keystone Bank, Project Manager Blueprint Business Technology Limited, Project Manager at Resourcery PLC, etc. His experience includes learning and development, where he has 10 years plus experience, and he has designed and delivered various learning and development events, courses, and workshops in both the private and public sectors across Africa, UAE, and Europe for major accredited training organizations. His achievements are numerous, but few of them he's a very conservative man. He's the author of best-selling books, Principles of Effective Project Management, and the recently published book on the topic that we are looking at today, No Blacks, No White, Just the Human Race, which is available. All of these books are available on Amazon. Undisputed freestyle, that's fun fact for him, undisputed best freestyle dancer and unapologetic foodie. And the last one on that, I'm just going to flash his profile just in case you want to munch it so that you can have his contact. His email address is tunji.banwo@gmail.com, and he can be connected or contacted on LinkedIn via his LinkedIn link. There you have it on the screen. So Tunji, thank you so much. It's really an honor to have you all here as we explore a crucial topic today. And Tunji is here fully ready to give it to us. So I encourage you all to engage, ask questions, and take away actionable steps that will drive meaningful change in your organizations. Once again, I want to warmly and specially welcome our guest speaker, Tunji Banwo. Over to you. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you again for the warm welcome. I'm so fortunate to have double introduction, So yeah, it's a good sign. All right. So thank you so much, Top. I hope I'm able to share screens now.
Yes,
Yeah,
sure.
I'm able to share screens now. Fantastic. All right. All right, good. So this would be the topics we'll be looking at. Understanding diversity, equality, and inclusion, benefits of a diverse and inclusive workplace, challenges and barriers to diversity and inclusion. What challenges are you likely to face? And what strategies can we put in place to promote DEI? And then we also look at some case studies, and I'll give some examples of companies that have employed DEI and they're getting the benefit from it. So let's try to break down the three components of DEI. So first off is diversity, right? Diversity. Like they say, diversity is the spice of life. So diversity simply means considering various human aspects, right? Like race. Well, I think I'm going to have to edit that. I take exception for the word race to actually mean tribe. So what a lot of people refer to as what do you call it? What a lot of people refer to as race should actually be the word tribe. So yes, I rather change that rather than say race. I rather say tribe. Yeah. So I'm always uncomfortable when people use the word race. Yes, I'm always uncomfortable. And that's because my opinion in my book, right? Or the anchor, what do you call it? The major point in my book is that there is no black race or white race. It's all what? Human race. So I'm like what you call is it a social reformer? Yeah, sort of a thing, like a social reformer, like changing the way, changing what people believe. So that's what I want to leave, for posterity, like a legacy where people can actually, like, yeah. So I'm sure that, like, for example, someone, I think is, I can't remember who helped abolish the killing of twins in Nigeria. I can't remember. There was a time when twins were believed to possess some spiritual powers or thereabouts. So twins were being killed, like, culturally, So in that same
The
vein,
reflector.
right? Say again.
The reflector. The calabar.
All right, thank you. So for even helping me out. Oh, is it Mary Slessor? All right,
Yes,
interesting.
Mary
So
Slessor.
thank you so much for responding, Omo. And also thank you for joining. You've just got a copy of my book. So let's reach out to me after the session, for a giveaway. Yes, for a giveaway. So
Okay, thank
just
you. Thank
no
you.
worries, no worries at all. So yeah, Mary Slessor. So before, people thought, okay, they were evil or something like that, but then someone came to change all that. So my own way of reforming our society would be to promote the agenda of the truth that there is no such thing as black race or white race or brown race. It's all one human race. So tribe, gender, age, sexual orientation. Talking about sexual orientation, now something you guys should notice in it's a very, very big one. Like, it's something that in countries like Nigeria, it's still, the only when people think of sexual orientation, they start thinking of LGBTQ, right? And then people start thinking of the only most popular person people think of is Bobrisky. Is it, yeah, what's this other guy? Is it Magic Brown, or what's this other guy's name? So think about the fact that, that's what people think of. But so it's not so popular around there, but I can tell you that. So you can actually see a lady and say, oh, that's her. Or I'll send it to her. Oh, she's my colleague. Oh, she's in a meeting. See, let me tell you, you've got to be well guided. One of the trainings I had to undergo, you know, before I started delivering trainings in the UK, because is such that if you are not sure, when in doubt, please find out. When in doubt, if you are not sure, if you've not met someone before, you are not, the fact that you're seeing a lady doesn't, I mean, so physically you can tell this person is a lady, she's female, and this is a male. No, it's not enough justification for you to go ahead and say, yes, I'll talk to him. No, you just say, well, it's with them, just them, until you now confirm that, oh, it's a he or she. So that's why people now start using pronouns, on their LinkedIn page, Tunji Banwo, he or him, or, things like, or is, or things like that. So what's the pronoun? I mean, it's a very serious conversation. Some people take offense. Yeah, if maybe their orientation has changed and you're still referring to them based on the binary, features, which is male or female. So you've got to be very, very careful. So orientation, reflecting the richness of human experiences. So all of these, that's all diversity, right? We are all, we are all different. Our
Hi,
ages are.
Tunji. Sorry, I left a message for you in the QA. Sorry, in the chat box rather.
Oh, in the chat box. Okay, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah, well noted, well noted. All right, so that's what diversity entails. And then you've got equality. So for equality, right, when I think of equality, okay, this image comes to mind. Let me put up this image. So guys, just what do you think? What do you think this is saying in the chat box? So yes, maybe I shouldn't even have put yeah, the label there. So guys, what do you make of this? In the chat room. What are your thoughts? All right. I guess we are still thinking about this. So equality. So do we want equality or do we want equity? You see what I'm talking about? Equality or equity.
It
So
means that
sometimes,
equality does not is not. does not equal equity. So
Exactly.
equality is not equity.
So, but equality is fair. Is think about the fact that you've provided what you call a level playing ground for everybody. That's equality. But then, is it equitable? So equitable will now mean that you need to provide, you need to give you need to provide extra for some persons, right? Which is what is happening in equity. You need to provide extra for some persons because they are what marginalized. Is that okay, guys? So they are marginalized in every society. We're in a lot of society, in a lot of countries, you have major ethnic groups and you have minor ethnic groups. You see what I'm talking about? You have educationally advantaged groups, educationally disadvantaged groups. You see what I'm talking about? So, so all of these are things we need to consider in trying to say, okay, first off is we'll make it level playing ground. But then we would also, so the fact is, okay, so think about, in fact, a very good example would be people rushing to board buses, BRT buses, for example, people rushing in. How will a pregnant woman be able to get a seat in the midst of the struggle? Or how will an elderly person be able to? So the fact that, okay, the seats are there, anybody can get in. Or so you just think of the fact that, okay, even if we are saying queue, some persons cannot queue for so long. So why don't you reserve like some seats to say maybe 2, 3 seats will be available for certain groups of people, elderly, and they've got a special queue, which I know they've now started doing, and things like that. So that's how to look at equality versus equity. So equal opportunities, but then we now need to maybe bend over backward for some groups of people. What about inclusion? Inclusion is a mindset, right? Is that feeling like, oh, we feel valued and we belong. If you know anything about motivational theories, as part of Abraham Maslow's motivational theory, it talks about self-belonging, right? One of the, there's physiological, there's there's safety, there is self-esteem, and there's self-belonging. The highest is self-actualization. So for self-belonging, is that feeling like I'm not left out? Now, if you really want to experience this, try being in a workplace where some of your colleagues start to speak their local dialect, right? Start to speak their local dialect and they start to laugh a lot. They are laughing and they're looking at your direction. Give me a thumbs up if 9 times out of 10 you are going to feel they are talking about you or gossiping about you. Thumbs up if that has ever happened to you. Some persons are just, chatting away in their local dialect, a language you don't understand, and maybe they now mistakenly look at your direction. You almost feel they're talking about you. Has it ever happened? Like thumbs up right now. Let me get your reaction. So yeah, so that is where you start to feel like, and then maybe again, let's say the boss, the CEO of the organization is only choosing, like I've worked in a company where, let me give you an instance, during my interview, the MD said, "Are you a Muslim?" And I was so scared because that was like the final stage for me to get the job as a PM. And I was like, what if I said no? I'm aware this guy is related to the is he Arishekola family, so he's Muslim and everything, and he's very strong Muslim background. So I was like, is that going to be a factor for him to either choose to hire me or not? And I was like, okay, I had to say things like I said, oh, I was a Muslim. My dad is still a Muslim, but I married my mom as a Christian, and so I'm converted. But yeah, I went to Islamic, so I had to give him all the story. And I said, okay, that's fine, that's fine. And I say, Jubril, should be using Jubril a lot. And I say, okay, you are hired. But guys, think, why should anybody be asking about my religion in trying to offer me a job as a PM? So that's something we need to consider. So why would I feel included in that kind of organization? You see what I'm talking about? So that's something we need to, yeah. So noted, I got your message. All right, noted. So yes, so that's about diversity and equality and inclusion. So now we've got the definitions. So let's see, right? I'm just going to try and be doing a lot of paraphrasing. So, talking about the history of DEI, it's all down to the woke movement, something around social injustice to, civil rights movement, discrimination against, people who say black versus white, against, people that were slaves. Yes, slaves, right? In, some of these countries, in the US especially, we think of movements like Martin Luther King and or Malcolm X and all those movements, right? And yes, so movements around the fact that they would say things like you are not allowed into some places. Some persons are allowed in some places, you are not. In fact, I saw this poster where it's so shocking that in the UK there was actually there was a time there was a poster where they said things like no blacks, no Irish, and then no dogs. So that was then. Meanwhile, right now, these guys are in love with pets. They don't joke with their cats and dogs and some other types of pets. Some of them even have snake pets. But I'm like, there was a time when even dogs were like, you can't take dogs into some public places, like even in a pub, and all that, which we call beer parlor. So, but the point is, they've moved, right? They've advanced. So that's where this whole thing is starting from. That advancement of no equal right. We are all humans. Why should some people be earning more than some people? Why, that kind of a thing. Why should we say, only whites can take the bus, we can't take a bus, things like that. So it all started from there and all that. So social justice, and then in the workplace, right? In the workplace, so many organizations are now trying to make sure that okay, they have some form of representation of people in the society. It's not just people of certain visibly skin color. You see that kind of a thing. So that's where it all starting from, guys. And then if you look at even currently a lot of companies, even leadership, there's lack of diversity. Remember those features we talked about, gender, gender, which is part of the features of diversity. If you go and check part of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, right? One of it is what? Gender, bridge the gender gap. So the pay, you find out there's still discrimination even in terms of the pay gap, right? There's still a huge pay gap between what, top with female CEOs and compared to male CEOs. Yes, and in some countries, it's still a big deal where women cannot rise to certain positions, yes, compared to their male counterparts. So that's right there, and it's still so much of a big factor. And then even in our workforce, so research indicates that companies with diverse workforces are more likely to outperform their competitors in various metrics, profitability and all that, because they are bringing so many ideas into the mix. So DEI is something that every organization needs. Yeah, every organization needs it. You can't do without it. Yeah. So let's look at the benefits of a diverse workforce. So if your organization is diverse, you're going to find that there's going to be what? A very, very rich, ideas, rich variety of ideas, various perspectives, that kind of a thing, various perspectives. So it enhances what creativity and innovation within the group. One of the pictures I use anytime I deliver trainings is a picture that has to do with 6 and 9. Yeah. I like to use this picture where, for example, someone is seeing a 6 and someone is seeing a 9. You probably would have seen that kind of picture before. So let me see if I can, I'm just going to describe it. So if, for example, let me see if I can annotate, right? If I can annotate, and let's say someone is standing here, right? And someone is standing here. And guess what? And there's a letter 6. So look at that. The person looking at this direction is seeing what? A 9. The person standing from this direction is seeing what? A 6. So the point is, both of them are not wrong. It's just their perspective. That's it right there. And I usually tell my delegate when I'm teaching conflict management, that this is one of the major sources of conflict around the world. Different perspectives. So that's what we need to bring into the mix. the various perspectives, people with different years of experience, combination of what different experiences and all that can even bring what unique solutions. I was listening to what's his name, Steve Jobs, and he said, in the early days of Apple, himself and his core team, they usually argue a lot. They would disagree to agree. But you see, after heated argument, is the birth of a new idea. Think about it. So it's fine for us to disagree. And going by the word of what's his name? Maxwell, John Maxwell, he said it's okay for us to disagree, but don't disrespect. You see, don't disrespect ourselves. So we need it, right? We need to foster creativity. There's something you can get from the younger generation, and there is also wisdom to tap from the older generation. So we need a workforce with people of diverse ages. We need people of diverse genders and all that. So those are the things we need to bring it, and different experience and all that, different experiences you bring it to. But so we need to value diversity. We need to we need to respect and value our employees, make people feel valued, make them feel like they belong, right? And it's not just by saying it, they've got to be able to see your actions. You see what I'm talking about? When there are no what do you call it, no sacred cows. So some persons can do some things and get away with it because they are in a clique, right? Or because of certain factors that some people have seen, that's okay, maybe they belong to a certain set of group, that kind of a thing. So that's not what you want to promote. And if you don't, if you don't promote DEI, you're going to be having a lot of staff, turnover. You're going to be a lot of what? Yeah, staff, people are going to leave your business. That's it right there. No, but people are going to feel like, no, you guys are being unfair and all that. Yeah, they're going to feel like you're being unfair. In fact, right now, I've got a colleague that is at the brink of, leaving the same company that I left because that same boss is making life a living hell for him, and he's on the brink of leaving. But according to him, he's not going to leave without a fight. I couldn't go through the long goal of getting a lawyer and all that, but for him, he's willing to go that route. You know, I'm telling you, you need to go there. So people are going to leave the business. They're going to feel like you'll be looking out for every little mistake for them to trip and fall. And so you can, you know, take that as a reason to fire them, that kind of a thing. So it helps you to what? Improve your financial performance, because the public perception, people are going to perceive you as, being very fair to, different types of people. You're going to attract top talent. Talking about top talent, look at companies like Google at the moment. A lot of these tech giants, look at the fact that in the US, Indians are their CEOs, that kind of a thing. And if you look at look at companies like World Trade Organizations attracting top talents like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Look at companies back then, look at Twitter back then, attracting also, she was a member of their board. Look at currently the, so that's, you're going to find out that you're going to be able to attract top talent. People are not going to feel like, okay, this company belongs to only Nigerians, that kind of a thing. Like when I walk to some restaurants, maybe like Chinese restaurants, or you see Lebanese restaurant or Thai cuisine and all that, I find that majority of the staff are actually people from that country. You can tell, and they start speaking their language. So, but you now observe that, wait, you guys are in, for example, you're in the UK, and then all the people you can employ are these the only kind of people you can employ? Is that being fair at all? Fine, you have to give a quota to people of your country, which is good, but why should almost all of them, if not all of them, be your country's citizens? That's not fair. So something we need to look out for. So there's going to be challenges, but I know I've just less than 5 minutes. So let's look at some of the challenges and barriers to DEI, right? Challenges include biases. When you think about bias, just think of poor judgment. That's bias, poor judgment. And it's human. It's human for you to, have that. It's all part of the way we are wired. It's neuroscience. I usually tell people that, see, if you step into a strange place, it could be in a bus, in a train, on a plane, or any place where you can choose a seat. And then you see, some seats are available but scanty. And then a lot of time people will likely sit beside someone they'll say someone that looks like you, that kind of a thing. So your skin color and all that. So you want to, and that's where people start to get it wrong. Because even during recruitment, for example, you just connect with someone, you say, oh, this person it could be by the name. So you see someone's name, for example, you just conclude they are from the eastern part of Nigeria. You say, no, this person must be good. You see that kind of a thing. Or it could even be based on the fact that maybe someone attended your alma mater. I know I attended Ife, and so there was something that a lot of us, once you say, great Ife, it could more like feel like, don't worry, you are one step ahead of even getting the job. So that kind of a thing. So that could be what? Bias. Stereotypes. So stereotypes, we need to watch out for that. I usually ask people, that, anytime I meet some Brits, I'll say, oh, so someone will say me, oh, I used to have a friend, oh, I have a friend that is Nigerian, oh, my best pal is Nigerian, my mate is Nigerian. So I say, has the person ever defrauded you? Say, no, nothing like that. So I'm always quick to find out, to say, have, have the person ever behaved badly? And so could that be, so maybe whatever way the person behaves would actually form an opinion, like they say, first impression. So some person can almost conclude that, oh, all Nigerians are like hush puppy, because the only person they knew to have committed, that kind of wire fraud is hush puppy, and they say is Nigerian, that kind of a thing. So it's just stereotype biases. In fact, let me give you guys one of the things I posted recently is a news piece from Sweden. I don't know if you guys are following the news, where a white guy, so-called white guy, use the word so-called because I don't like to use the word white or black. So-called white guy went about shooting people in an adult school, right? And most of the people in that adult school are actually migrants, people from maybe African descent, a lot of them are so-called blacks or maybe Asians. Think about it, right? And then guess what? The media, the BBC portrayed that news, and what they portrayed is the picture of an Arab. Meanwhile, that person was actually helping to even, get the perpetrator. That's not the perpetrator, but the label, the person they use as the poster, and that's why you now ask yourself, what are they trying to, what are they exactly, what's their agenda? For me, I feel they're trying to whip up sentiment. So that's unconscious, it could be conscious or unconscious barrier. So we need to we need to break down all those barriers. So people need to be trained. That's it right there. You need to address it. You need to recognize it. So you need to do a lot of training programs for your employees. Let them be aware of, I don't like when people say things like, I don't see color. No, you have to see color. You have to acknowledge the fact that we are different. We speak different languages. We are from different parts of the world. Acknowledge it, but then get to understand people. Get to understand, okay, this person cannot pronounce, for example, I don't know how much training I'm going to do, but it's going to be difficult for me to get right pronunciation, difference in pronunciation between the name Claire, all right, versus the name Claire and the word Claire. You see what I'm talking about? So it's something you guys have to understand about me. For example, some of us cannot pronounce the word R properly. So if you say maybe rice, for example, we may not be able to pronounce. So I know some of you are some people, they used to laugh at me a lot back in secondary school. You say, oh, you can't pronounce R properly. So the fact is that we're just different. We're just different. So even some organizations, even companies, so institutional barriers are there. So you find out that, for example, like, let me give you this instance. How come most of the CEOs in companies like UBA have been people from Tony Lumelu's region in Nigeria? Has anybody observed? Does it mean the only people that are good at what they do? I'm not like I'm calling UBA out, right? But it's just one example. You get what I'm trying to say? Does it mean in the entire workforce of UBA, the only person, just the same thing for First Bank, where I observed that the trend for First Bank had always been that it's only Yorubas. That, I remember after so like successive CEOs had been Yorubas. Same thing for UBA. Those kind of bearing, you can tell tribal sentiments. That's my own opinion. I might be wrong, but I could tell that tribal intonation. So even the institution, you need to be very much aware, right? You need to be very much, even some churches, yes, even churches are also doing it already, where it looks like the person to succeed the what do you call it, the senior pastor would always be someone of his tribe or a tribe, that kind of a thing. So we need to watch out for those things. So some people are going to resist changes, but you need to find a way to enlighten them. You need champions. Yeah, you need people to champion it. And when I teach change management, one of the things we promote is what? Leadership lever. The leaders need to don't just talk it, you need to walk the talk. So people are going to resist. Some persons will be such that, yes, oh, thank you so much for the nudge. So some persons will be such that they are used to things being the way they are. I mean, look at a lot of government agencies and all that. You just kind of observed like yes, it looks like over time the culture has been that the leadership would always be someone of a certain region, of the country and all that. So for you to now have someone, different coming to lead them is going to be quite difficult. So some people cannot cope with that, shock, that kind of a thing. So it's a lot of training. It's a lot of, training, orientation, and, and some persons eventually they may have to be shown the door in the organization if they refuse to change. If they refuse to change, but it's a lot of advocacy. There's a lot of advocacy. So strategies for promoting DEI as I round up, what do you need to do? Promote inclusivity, give people the opportunity. So have what? Your policies. Let your policies be clear. Companies should have DEI policies. So you can get some ideas from my book. If you're looking to incorporate it into your HR practice, you can get some ideas. There's an entire chapter in my book that I called something around crafting, policy. I said dismantling the walls strategies for change. Yeah, that's a chapter in my book. And then also I talked about the place of what? The place of policy. Yeah, I talked about the place of policy in my book. And for example, one of the policies would be quota. Yeah, quota. Giving quota for people that are albinos, right? Giving quota for people that are disabled, giving quota for, for maybe, different generation, maybe like Gen X or Gen Zs and all that. Just trying to, so you can be deliberate about it. So we are trying to fill some roles, but then we are going to be allocating this percentage, not like some federal character. Federal character is a good start, but then if not well managed, can become nepotistic. You see what I'm talking about? So that's it, part of it. So you can actually include all of it, just respectful, respect anybody, everybody, it doesn't matter where you're from, that kind of a thing. So yes, you want to promote things like saying we are for nobody, we are for everybody. I know I'm shaking tables now. You guys know who made that statement, right? So the company has to be able to, people have to see that you're not siding, you're not being fair to some people and being unfair to others. So you need to recognize unconscious bias, and there needs to be scapegoat. So carrot and stick. When some persons are doing the right thing, I look out for it. So one of the things I check out is if I want to see how diverse your company is, I'll go and look at your board. I'm going to look at your board or your senior leadership team, and I can tell if a lot of them are male, if maybe all of them are male, that's not diverse in my opinion. Yeah, for real. If all of them are female, for example, except it's a female group, for example, like a female NGO or stuff like that, then that's a different thing, right? But if it's a company, a business organization, or a non-governmental organization, or something like that, which is not is not for a particular gender, then you need to promote a lot of, people from different places, different cultures. I think Nigeria will still have a long way to go. Because I foresee a future where maybe we can start having, even expatriates vie for certain political positions in Nigeria. Well, maybe who knows in the future? Because I mean, my own sister, for example, is privileged to be a two-time seven counselor in St. Helens, an area close to Manchester, in between Manchester and Liverpool, as a black person. So think about it. Well, our own dear Kemi Badenoch, which she's not really in the good books of Nigeria right now, rose to the position first time ever as the leader of the Conservative Party. Those are countries where DEI is really a thing. You see what I'm talking about? It's still going to take us a long time for countries like Nigeria to get there. So you need to promote it. And it's by symbolic actions, and not just actions. Match it up with what? Look at that. Look at that picture right there. Someone with what? With with prosthetics. So yes, do you even have reasonable adjustment for people on wheelchair? Think about it. And then you also think about people with, even talking about diversity, there's another dimension to you. Think about people with neurodiversity. There's neurodiversity, dyslexic, and, people with all these ADHD and different types of disorders. So the list goes on, guys. But unfortunately, so you need to empower underrepresented groups. Yes. And I'm going to, kind of end with this quote that says, the measure of a sane society is in the way it treats the marginalized. Yes, I can't remember whose quote was that, but it's a measure of how kind we are as a society. So, guys, that's about it. I can tell the moderator is really itching. I would have given some examples, but I've already given some examples of companies that are promoting DEI in my in my sessions so far. So thank you so much, guys. But I'll make a copy of my presentation available through the organizers so you guys can have it, because I've already overshot my time, and because we don't want to keep promoting African timing. So importance of DEI, we've talked about it. It helps your workforce to be innovative, and it's going to even improve your bottom line. So guys, thank you so much for listening. Mr. T, over to you.
All right, thank you so much. Truly appreciate for this awesome presentation. Please, can we all appreciate our guest speaker in the chat room? And we all please appreciate our guest speaker. Quickly, let's appreciate him. All right, so we're going to go straight into the Q&A. If you have any question, could you please, put it in the chat box, or you want to unmute your mic, that is also acceptable. So who wants to go first? Any question? Any question? Any question? Any question? All right, I have a couple of questions here that we just read out. So if you have any other, just feel free to put it in the chat box. Thank you, Tunji. Your book, No Blacks, No Whites, Just the Human Race, was born out of your personal experience with racism, discrimination, and prejudice. Can you share a defining moment that led you to write that book?
All right, thank you so much, Topper. So I apparently you missed that bit before you joined. So I kind of shared the story, but I'm just gonna reiterate on it. So said it was born out of the experience I had when I was fired on a job I was good at, which is I've been delivering, PMP classes and just PMP, other forms of training, project management generally. I've been a practitioner and also a trainer for more than a decade. And then suddenly I'm in a different league. So it was more like I was playing in the Nigerian league, and now I'm in the Premier League. And they were expecting me to start scoring goals like, instantly, but I wasn't delivering as they wanted, and it was all down to communication barrier and things like that. So it turns out that eventually I was fired. Yeah, eventually I was fired. So that experience, that period for me was a period where I could really, really think, right? I could really, really think, and I had to, and I got a lot of, let me tell you, it affected my mental health, because imagine people saying things to you like, getting comments like, we don't, I couldn't hear a thing Tunji was saying in class. Trump, putting on challenge things like he didn't even use the slide, coming up with things that, I mean, like saying things like, he wasn't communicating at all. It makes you feel like, wait a minute, we're an English colony, for crying out loud. How did someone go all the way from a first degree to getting a second degree to now working on his doctorate degree, all in English, and then you say things like, I can't even hear him at all. I was like, wow, this person, they need to, I'm like, wow, so it was all based on that experience. It was so painful because eventually, guess what? it's not enough for some people. Say people are entitled to their opinion, right? Which is fine. As long as you say it and it doesn't hurt me, it's fine. Or as long as it doesn't, like people say, it doesn't take away food from my table, it's fine. But guess what? Tope, I can tell you that I've had instances where even when I left, so the comment from some of my delegates, which is having a terrible boss that focuses on negative comments, right? And eventually I was fired, right? I thought I had escaped it even as a contractor, which is self-employed now. Guess what? I went to deliver a training for Ministry of Defense. I think it's the Army in their headquarters. And I was even well guided that that's the Army headquarters and all that. And I was moving around. Do you know some delegates still came up with some very false allegation against me, and it was taken and I wasn't even given a fair hearing. And guess what? That client, they told that client that you have to stop using this instructor. And I could tell that's pure racism, my brother. Or I call it discrimination because mere fact that saying racism would mean that okay, one race is better than another race. No, but it's just discrimination in the sense that the fact that you don't like this person, you look for every reason to just discard them. You look for one mistake they will make and then you now label them. And so guess what? Some clients have had to stop working with me because the some persons that are not so open to having a so-called black trainer would say we don't want to work with this person again. So stop, don't send this person to our site again. So you said that you stop sending this person or we stop giving you jobs. Papa, imagine you as a company putting you in that kind of position. It's a very, very tight one. So that's when it gets to me that it's not enough that people are saying, some people will say some wrong things about you, which is not right. But then when it now stops your means of income, then that's painful. Do you understand what I'm saying? That is very painful. So for me, that's what I'm really advocating to say no blacks, no white, just humans. And anyone that cares to listen, I let them know to say, peel off the skin. We're all the same. You see what I'm talking about? If you need liver or a kidney to survive, or an organ to survive, you're not going to care if it's coming from someone in Borno State or someone from Ibira. Even Nigeria, bringing it down to Nigeria, do you know, at states in some places in Lagos where when they use the word Ibira, it's derogatory. I actually didn't know is it Ibira because it is some people. So even the word Mola, it is Malam. So even in Nigeria, some people say deal with the discrimination at home before even going international. You see what I'm talking about? Blacks versus white. Even down in Nigeria, we still have instances where some tribes will say we can't marry from another tribe. Or in the workplace, I don't like working with Igbos. Oh, Yorubas. No, no, they are too loud. Or things like that. Like it's even in our face. Yes. Where some people say, Northerners, they are like this. Do you understand what I'm saying? Or this person, so person. So it is something that is a problem. It is, let's say it as it is. It's the big elephant in the room. It's the big elephant in the room. Do you know when I served in the East, in Imo State, our mama, I heard this adage that he said if they see, they say if they see a snake and they see someone from is it Injaba, they say they rather kill the person from that place, that town in Imo State, and let the snake go. What does that tell you? Hatred within one state for people of a certain village or town. So they say remove the speck in your own eyes first before going to remove the one. So before I'm dealing with it at a global stage, even some countries need to fix the what do you call it, those tribal wars and sentiments and biases even amongst ourselves. So yeah, so that's where the idea came from. It was born out of the fact that I was fired on the job, and it was very tough because I was just settling into the UK. It was a very tough moment. In fact, my office was just beside the Tower Bridge, just adjacent to London Bridge. And every time I'm walking past to go take a train at London Bridge Station, guess what? I'm always hearing voices in my head, jump, jump, jump. I'm telling you, I was so close to giving up. I could have committed suicide. All down to what? People's words, people's reactions to you to say they don't like you, they don't like how you're talking, or they don't like how you look. It's a very, very serious thing. Acceptance. a lot of people are struggling with it in, a lot of people that are in the diaspora. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. You've said a lot. Thank you so much for sharing. Many organizations struggle with
Pleasure is mine.
struggle with resistance to DEI initiatives. What are the best strategies for overcoming resistance? Because you agree with me that many organizations actually have DEI policies, yet workplace discrimination and all manner of prejudices still exist. Why do you think this happened, and how can we bridge the gap between having policy and letting those policy reflect uh, real cultural change, in our organization? What advice do you have for HR professionals, to not just have policies around DIA, look into implementation? Based on your experience, what do you think an HR of the organization should have done better? Yeah.
All right. So to just cut to the chase, you need to make people accountable, right? There's a story I normally share with my delegates when I'm teaching anything to do with assigning roles and responsibilities. So we use the word RAM, responsibility assignment matrix. So you can use a format to see who is responsible, who is accountable, who is to be consulted, who is to be informed. So the point is, if DI is not upheld in the company, who should be held? It's not just going to be the head of HR. We know that's where the bulk, that's the head of the people team or the workforce. But then can they also have people in different units, departments as champions, looking out for it? So you need to appoint champions. You see that? Appoint champions, and you need to give them as part of their. So, like in many companies, they have what you call safety marshal. You say fire marshal or stuffs like that. They'll say, oh, this person is the safety marshal, this person is this. So you also need to have maybe DI marshal or DI champion. So when people are held accountable and all that, and then you can now start even within a workforce, one of the things you can also promote is cultural days, where you can say on a certain day, maybe, once every quarter, let people wear their traditional attire. You see what I'm talking about? So, like in some of the multinationals that I've been privileged to work, work either as an employee or work with them on a consultancy or training basis. Some of what they do is they actually encourage like a day. They will say, "Oh, this is
Sorry,
like
in case you
Diwali, for
forgot, you don't
example."
have your video on, in case, I don't know whether you did not
Oh, it's
realize that.
you need to check your end. Maybe because yeah, your video is back on. Now, can you see me?
No, actually can't see you.
Is there another person having that same issues?
Okay, so let me do this way. Yeah, I still cannot see you.
Right, maybe people should comment in the chat room. Thumbs up if you can see me. Thumbs up if you can see me.
No, your video is not on. We are just seeing your picture.
No, people said they can see me. So
Oh, really?
check your end.
That's my wow, interesting. Okay.
See him.
Oh, wow, interesting. Okay. All right. So
It's your end.
let's go
Yeah.
ahead. Wow. All right. Let's go on.
I can see him.
Let's go on. So
Oh,
let's
you're
see
trying to
this.
do like a group picture.
No. That's not even it. But don't worry. I think since others can see you, I think it's fine. I'm the only one I'm seeing that's put on video as we speak.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry for cutting you. Let's move on.
Yeah, so I hope I've been able to answer your question. I just say make people accountable, really.
Okay, yes,
If
I like that. I like the idea.
So if nobody is
Having them.
accountable, it won't be done. And
Yeah.
then you need to also have a voice at the top. A lot of times, if you want any policy to go from top down or to be adopted, you need to have people in the someone in the board, someone in the senior leadership team, like a face for DEI. That way, it's got to be someone that everybody respects, or yeah, it's not just they work for the head of HR or something like that, or the